All right, this video is going to cover 8.1, which is solving polynomials. This is something that I think is very important to know how to do. They say in factored form, but they did not give you this in factored form. That, like, this trinomial right here could be factored further, so I don't know what they mean by that. But basically, your goal is to factor everything. Okay, here, factor fully, and then set each factor equal to 0. So here's what I mean. Look at number 1. You need to factor this fully. So like this trinomial right here, it can factor further to be x plus 2, x plus 1. If you don't know how to factor, you need to go watch that video or else you don't stand a chance on this stuff. So this in red would be the fully factored form of this polynomial. So all you have to do is take each of these factors, like x minus 4, set them all equal to 0 and solve them. So it'd look like this. And then you just add 4. So like this one's x equals 4. That's one of my answers. Minus 2. So like this one's x equals negative 2. That's another one of my answers. Then this one would be x equals negative 1. So 3 answers. And that's all there is to it, really. So let's just go ahead and run through this. This next one, you would have to factor it further. So it'd be x minus 3 here. It'd be 2x plus 1 and x plus 2. So this is fully factored. Now set each one of these factors equal to 0. And go solve them. So like this one, I would add 3. This one, I would subtract 1. I'll show my work on this one. Then I would divide by 2. So I'd get x equals negative 1/2. And then this one on the right, just subtract 2. Nothing to it. Okay. Now this one, they gave you, this is not fully factored either. That's a difference of squares. So that's x plus 4, x minus 4. So here's fully factored form. Oops, that should have just been a minus. Okay, set each factor equal to 0 and solve it. So this one, it would be x equals negative 3, x equals 4, x equals negative 4, and x equals 4. If you get one that repeats, you don't really care about that. I mean, you already know x equals 4 is an answer, so there's no point in writing it twice. If I lost you because I didn't show my work there, I'm sorry, but this is all I'm doing. And I think it seems kind of elementary to write that out every single time. So, all right. Now, number 4 is different, kind of, because this right here is not a perfect difference of squares. So what you do here is you stick to the plan. You put it in factored form, which currently it is because this is not a difference of squares. And you set it equal to 0 and you solve. So it would look like this. X plus 6 equals 0. This is just going to result in x equals negative 6. No big deal. But this other one, x squared minus 10 equals 0, you have to go solve. And so you'll add 10. And then when you get to the square by itself, you have to root it. And when you root something, you have to put plus minus. So this answer would actually be x equals plus or minus root 10. If you forget that plus minus, it's wrong. Okay, now this one's even weirder because this looks kind of like a difference of squares, but it's not a minus in the middle, it's a plus. So you can't treat it like a difference of squares. So this would be considered fully factored. So stick to the plan and set each factor equal to 0. So like this one's going to be negative 1. That one's easy. But this one, you set it equal to 0 and go solve it. And you'll get x squared equals negative 36. And then you'll root it. Don't forget your plus minus. And you're going to get x equals plus minus the root of negative 36. You kind of have to simplify this a little bit. So the first thing I would do is I would take the negative out. This negative sign right here. Let me do it in like pink. This negative sign, and I would call it I. on the outside of the root. So it's like I root positive 36 now. And then the square root of 36 is 6. So this answer turns into plus minus 6i. I know that was kind of weird, but. All right, and then this last one, this guy's factored, the x minus 7 part. But this x cubed minus 8 is a difference of cubes, where a is x and b is 2. And then you run it through the difference of cubes equation. So that would look like this, x minus 2. X squared plus 2x plus 4. And then, of course, you had your x minus 7 right at the start. Red right here is fully factored. This all equals 0. So you're going to stick to the plan and set each factor equal to 0. So like this one's going to be 7, and this one's going to be 2. Those are the easy ones. But for this last part right here, this trinomial, it will not factor further. So that's considered fully factored. And so once it's fully factored and you have a trinomial that you need to solve, if you're going to have to run the quadratic equation if you can't factor it, which we cannot do. So here's what it would look like. X squared plus 2x plus 4. So here's A, here's B, and here's C. I'm just going to punch them straight into this equation just like this. So it's going to look like x equals negative B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and it's all over 2 times a. So if you simplify this a little bit, you'll get negative 2 plus minus the root of 4 minus 16, and this is all over 2. So this root part right here, root of 4 minus 16 is the root of negative 12. You take the I out and call it root positive 12. Well, root 12 can simplify more. It's root 4 times root 3. So that's 2 root 3. And don't forget, there was an I in front. So this actually simplifies to be 2I root 3. I hope that made sense. So this answer turns into x equals negative 2 plus or minus 2I root 3, and it's all over 2. And you're basically done here. The only other thing you can do is you can simplify. If all of these numbers are divisible by the same thing, you can kind of reduce them all. So all these numbers are divisible by 2. So I would divide them all by 2 and get x equals negative 1 plus minus I root 3 over 1, which is just negative 1 plus minus I root 3. I know that was tricky, but all you're doing is running it through the quadratic equation. So get it fully factored, set each factor equal to 0, go solve it, nothing to it. Hope this video helped.